It was really sad that WWE decided to cancel Talking Smack. Now, no matter what the reasons were, we're about to get into that, it was a show that allowed wrestlers to be more realistic and it was unscripted. And all that stuff's usually good, so yeah, this was disappointing. But it is no more, apart from the fact that it is going to air after pay-per-views, which means the question is, why did WWE cancel Talking Smack? And that works out very well, because the name of this series is the Why series. So, WWE did kill Talking Smack. Why? Ow. Here's why. Now, before we begin, it is important to remember that the Why series is about looking at both sides of the coin and playing devil's advocate with the situation in question. So that's what we're going to do here, and we're going to dive in deep. There's two major reasons people are claiming as to why WWE did take Talking Smack out the back and pop a bullet in its head. And the first is that Vince McMahon didn't like the show and didn't think it fit in well with his product. And the second is the more simpler of the two, that nobody was watching it, so management were like, well, if no one's watching it, cancel it, we'll save the cash. But we're going to start with the first one. I don't know what the truth is, but there are reports out there that put the blame squarely at Vince McMahon's feet. And to be honest with you, I just don't think that's the case. I'm not saying he was the biggest fan of Talking Smack or that he tuned in, week out, but of course he watched it and of course he knew what was going on because it's his company. If he didn't, he'd be being a fool. And you can say Vince McMahon's a lot of things, but he's not a fool when it comes to business. And he was damn sure aware what was happening on the show, because why else would he have taken all the Miz and Daniel Bryan stuff and actually aired that on SmackDown proper, where millions of people could see it? If he didn't like the authentic nature of the show, he's not going to go, well, I don't care, let's just move it across to the bigger audience anyway, because what the hell, I'm going to be dead soon, so party time. Furthermore, if Vince did hate Talking Smack that much, he's not going to keep airing it after pay-per-views. Vince McMahon doesn't compromise. Have you seen what this man does? It's his company. He'd be like, screw you, it's dead. If you don't like it, I don't care. I'll fire your ass. But there is the other side to this, so for the sake of argument, let's address that too. Vince McMahon didn't like the show. He didn't like that it was unscripted. He didn't like that he couldn't control it, and he cancelled it. And if that is true, that's really, really stupid, and maybe McMahon is a little bit out of touch. I would argue that wrestling audiences actually want more of that in 2017, not less of it. If you've got a performer that can make something feel real, or make the audience go, wait a minute, are we blurring the lines here? Am I seeing something I'm not meant to see? Then you should do that all the time, and you can't overdo it. Again, as long as the wrestler in question can pull it off, let them pull it off time and time again. Because if you can keep tricking me, I'm going to keep watching. The problem with that is not every wrestler can, but that's where you pick and choose your battles. The bigger issue here is the fact that the more authentic, unscripted stuff was being cornered off into its own little bubble over here on the network, when it should be over here on Raw and SmackDown. That's where all this stuff should be happening. We should be allowing performers to go out there and sink or swim on their own, because if they swim, it's going to be better for everybody, and if they sink, they're only going to get better because we learn from our mistakes. I want to see all that stuff unleashed on the main roster, but instead, we are getting storylines that have Jason Jordan pretending to be Kurt Angle's son. And I'm alright with that, and I'm happy to see where it's going to go. I don't know how it's going to play out, so I can't judge it yet. But I know which of the two I prefer from a gut feeling. Also, that is the antithesis to what Talking Smack was. Soap opera storyline, proper stuff that feels real. That's different. Also, we all know that Jason Jordan isn't actually Kurt Angle's son, and if you do think he is, well, good for you. You're living the dream. But in the world we live in today, all it takes is a quick search on the internet or going on Instagram or whatever, and all of a sudden, that whole story is going to be broken down. So you've got to learn to suspend your disbelief in a brand new way. You 100% know it's not true, but there are things you've got to do to kind of just buy in when you're watching it on TV. It's like, well, okay, it's like a movie. I know it's all bullshit, but I find a way to make this work. That's why it was a lot easier to take this stuff in during the 90s. Are The Undertaker and Kane brothers? Of course they're not, but there was no way to actually know. It wasn't being hurled right in your face to the point you couldn't avoid it, but that's what social media does. Again, all you got to do is peruse it for a little bit, and all of a sudden you realise that was nonsense. So in short, if you wanted to pretend that was real, you could. There wasn't any overwhelming evidence that would properly shut you down. But that is impossible in 2017, so when you do tune into Raw, you've just got to accept that in this universe you're about to walk into, that yes, Jason Jordan is Kurt Angle's son. But now, sit down, take a moment, and ask yourself this. Which one did you prefer, that reveal or the Miz and Daniel Bryan yelling at each other with language that just made you raise an eyebrow or two and go, wait a minute, I know which one I preferred, and I think I know which one you preferred too. Now on to point 2, which is that yes, maybe there is a chance nobody was watching Talking Smack, and I'm really sorry to say, I think that this may be the case. While it was doing quite well for a bit, there is evidence out there that viewership plummeted, and not just because WWE moved the time slot so it aired after 2:05 Live. Want to know why that didn't matter? Because the network is an on-demand service, meaning whenever you decided to watch Talking Smack, that counted as a view. You didn't have to watch it straight away on Tuesday night. You could watch it on Wednesday, or Thursday, or Friday, or Saturday, or Sunday. It's like a Craig David song. As long as you did that, it would still be clocked up as a review. That's like me doing a video here, it not doing well and going, well, it must have been because I uploaded it at 11 p.m. on a Monday. That doesn't matter. As long as you watch it at some point, you've still watched it, and I'm still going to get that on my analytics. This also explains why the post-pay-per-view episodes did better than the ones that didn't follow a pay-per-view, because when you watch a pay-per-view, you're already on the network, so it's well easy just to stay on the network and watch it. You just push one button as opposed to getting up, turning on your PS4 or your computer, whatever, and tuning in. So people were basically just hanging around, and when they weren't, they were too lazy to go and watch Talking Smack. Which then brings us to social media. Now, I know I was guilty of this, and I bet you were guilty about this too, but I watched a lot of my Talking Smack content on Twitter, or Facebook, or Instagram. If any kind of segment got some kind of a buzz and was easily shared online, I just clicked play, I watched it, and that was it. I'd got my entertainment from what WWE was putting out there. So if I've done that, in no way am I then going to go back on the network and watch it again, because why would I? I've already seen it. And if I want to see it again, well, I'll just re-watch it the way I watched it in the first place. And from that standpoint, it is going to affect things on WWE's end, because they have no idea that I'm watching it in that fashion. I mean, if 72 million people all watch the Miz versus Daniel Bryan stuff on Twitter, then WWE is going to cancel Talking Smack, because according to the network, nobody watched it. And if that's the stats they have, they're going to act accordingly. And acting accordingly here was just like getting rid of it, killing it. Like I say, gun, dead. And again, I really am disappointed that Talking Smack was cancelled, because I thought it was a great format to allow the wrestlers to shine and just try something new. And even when they failed, that was still entertaining, because we're human beings and watching other human beings fail can be entertaining. Hence why YouTube, a lot of it is just people falling off skateboards or getting smacked in the balls. But WWE is a business at the end of the day, and we all have to accept that. And if something isn't helping that business, then yeah, it's gonna go away. And before you go, yeah, but WWE does that with wrestlers all the time when they should push them and they don't push them. Well, yeah, that is true. But a TV show is not the same as a wrestler. A TV show can't mouth off. A TV show doesn't go on Twitter and say things that it shouldn't say. A TV show can't play the political game, and a TV show can't get pushed or held back. It's a completely different set of parameters, so you can't compare the two. Either way, Talking Smack is no more, apart from after pay-per-views, and that is very upsetting. It's sad, like we've addressed. But either way, one last salute for the weekly Talking Smack episodes. We will miss you. Now don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you think about Talking Smack. Like, share and subscribe. Go on over to whatculture.com and read more articles about wrestling. Then follow What Culture on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE. I am Simon from What Culture. This was the Why series. I hope you had a good time. And if you didn't, hey, a bad time sometimes equals a good time too, because you can get all mad and go write stuff, and you love doing that because of the internet.
You there, do you want to prove you're a wrestling smart ass? Then answer me this. Who was the first Alliance Invader to win a championship in the Invasion storyline? Mike Awesome, it was the Hardcore Championship. Did you get it? I don't care. To test yourself and whatever friends you might have, buy the new What Culture Wrestling trivia game available at shop.whatculture.com.